Well, I want to thank everybody for being here today. I'm Tom Osborne, Minister of Finance and President of Treasury Board, and also the Minister responsible for OCIO, or Office of the Chief Information Officer. It is a pleasure to be part of the launch of government's next phase of the Way Forward. The Way Forward has been this government's guiding strategy since we formed government in 2015. It sets out our priorities, and it has helped us to remain focused on the important work that we were elected to do. In a few moments, I'm going to outline one of our major initiatives in this phase of the Way Forward, our approach to making government digital by design. First, I would like to introduce our Premier, the Honourable Dwight Ball, who will set out the priorities in the next phase of the Way Forward.
Thank you, Tom. I also want to recognize a number of MHAs and cabinet members that we have in the room, and also members of our Youth Advisory Council. Thank you for coming out. We're going to, first of all, I guess before we get into it, Tom already touched on it about the launch of our Phase 3. I think it's also important that we do some reflection on where we've come within the last 18 months and how busy we have been as we've announced the vision for our for the Way Forward. And when I look in this room this morning, I cannot really think of a better location, a better group of people that I would stand in front of and speak to about today's event. In this room, we already have, as I just mentioned, we've had just some great chats with some of our young people here, and some of the best minds and brightest minds that we have available to us in this province. And it's your drive, the talent that you have, the ambition that you have. We were just having a chat here about Elon Musk, and the ambition that we have with young people in Newfoundland and Labrador. Indeed, you too can influence and change many of the things that we do within the world. But more importantly, as Premier of this province, what I want to do is encourage you and put the environment around you that you can do that right here in our province in Newfoundland and Labrador. Added to that, I guess standing right in this room, which is part of the Engineering Technology Centre, right known as the Ridge Road campus of CNA. And it is this location for the last 25 years that has played such a significant role in technology education in our province. This facility, and I just spoke to many of our young guys over here, and we talked about this is where you start planning for your future. And we were just sharing a story a few minutes ago about a young friend of mine who graduated from CNA and today is in Kingston doing his training on a job that he has been able to secure based on the work and his school life at CNA. So, building for our future. And as Tom has mentioned, this is we started the Way Forward with 3 different phases: Phase 1, Phase 2, and today Phase 3. And even within our budget speech today, we put a lot of emphasis on building for our future. So this is the document that you will see. It represents over 30 new actions that'll be included. So totally, when you look at the 3 phases today, there will be about 100 actions that will be in place, some 30 odd that will be announced as part of today's action. As you know, the plan was originally announced in 2016. We were facing, as a government, some unprecedented physical challenges in our province. So it urged us to really dig deep into government, to look at the unsustainable funding, the unrealistic assumptions, the unchecked efficiencies that were occurring in our province, or inefficiencies, I should say, that were occurring in our province. So it became very clear to me in the early days that we needed to convince our bond raters, the people that we borrow money from. We needed to convince the global businesses, and more importantly, we needed to convince the young people in our province, the next generation of Newfoundlanders and Labradorians, that our province would continue to be the ideal place to live, to work, to do business, and to raise your family. So indeed, build for your future right here in our province. And in order to do that, it wasn't just merely about, spending cuts. It wasn't just really about stimulating new businesses. These are important things to consider. But we also needed to know that your government would work together through every single department, not allow departments to be working in silos, but it is very important that every single department would work together. We're able to do this in Phase 1. We call that securing our footing. It was important that we put the the very best that we could in a strong financial footing for you and for your future. This phase was rolled out in the first 6 months. There was a lot of work that we did. That first phase, we were able to come up with some $45 million in savings. And this established really the foundation and the culture for future decisions within our province and got us on the path to restoring fiscal balance in our province. Some of the initiatives, just to remind you, in securing our footing, included reorganizations of many departments. We streamlined activity and reduced the need for for senior management positions. We had the time, and when we took office, we had the same number of deputy ministers that the province of Ontario had. For a province the size of ours, we knew there was room there to change that. Also, with lease space in our province, looking at where we owe and where we lease space, we were able to significantly decrease the footprint in our province. We set a goal, and we exceeded that goal, so we set a new goal, and we will continue to do that where we see the opportunities to create efficiencies. This is not about service delivery. This is about the footprint of government and in this case, our lease space. Also put in place zero-based budgeting. And for most people, this is something that happens very commonly in your business. I know what happens in your households, is that you have to actually justify for every dollar that you spend. It is taxpayers' money. We made a commitment that we would spend that money wisely on your behalf. As an example of that, all of these things that we achieved were primarily driven through partnerships with communities. And I think the best example, or one of the examples that I could give right now, was the Premier's Task Force on improving educational outcomes. We engaged educators, experts, parents all across this province. It wasn't a long process. We went out there, we got the work done in every single community. We came back with some 82 recommendations that are vital to the restructuring of the K-12 system in our province. And I would suggest that these recommendations will forever change the way education will be delivered in our province. We are now not just taking those recommendations, but we are not letting this sit on the shelf. The implementation phase has already started, and we are making unprecedented advances in our education system. Mental health and addictions and wellness in our education system, inclusive education, mathematics, literacy, technology, and coding. Up until just recently, that is not something that was happening in our province, and it's extremely important how you prepare yourself for the future. Technology, Indigenous education, multicultural education, cooperative education, virtually non-existent in our schools today. So it was important for us to get that back in our school system. But equally important with this, anytime you get through a transition phase, it is very important that you continue to use professional development with our educators. So these are just a few examples of how we will help prepare and make changes in the K-12 system. All of this to prepare our young people for the future. Another great example of partnerships was with the work that was done with the growing response to mental health and addictions. I think everyone that have watched my days in politics, this has been a big issue for me. But we engaged medical professionals, community leaders, people with lived experience, extremely important. If you were at the launch of the replacement for the Waterford, you would see people standing to the mic and see the importance of having them included in their own shared life experiences. We launched the Towards Recovery, a number of recommendations, and once again, that this plan is now putting actions in place to make changes in people's lives. Today we have, expanding on this partnership, nearly 200 individuals serving on teams and working groups about advancing Towards Recovery action plan. These are a few examples. Many of you would have followed the work that we've done with aquaculture, with agriculture, with the tech sector, areas of in our province where we see businesses that are in position for high growth, creating jobs for Newfoundlanders and Labradorians. We see a number of untapped potential within those businesses. We've laid out, not just saying that this is something that we want to do, we put objectives in place. In agriculture, as an example, year-round jobs currently around 1,000. We need to more than double that, and we know that we can do it with the resources that we have. The agriculture plan, not just making sure, which is very significant, very important to all of us, to make sure that we have food security in Newfoundland and Labrador, but we see this as an opportunity to create jobs in our province as well. And the technology firms. We have made a commitment to work with those firms over the next 2 years, those that are positioned to create new employment for our Newfoundlanders and Labradorians. We also know in this specific sector that the jobs and the salaries attributed to those and connected to the tech firms, they pay more. And so that's important for us as well. The oil and gas sector, we know that there's so much untapped potential off our shores right now. So once again, we got the industry leaders together, put in place Advance 2030, and we feel that there's untapped wealth that will generate and put us in a position to once again pay for the critical services that so many of us need and look forward to and use in our province. Once again, this is an area just not putting the plan there, but putting objectives, making sure that we were setting our companies up for new exploration wells. We put a number there, some 100 new wells explored between now and 2030, 650,000 barrels of oil. We know the reserves are there. We know that this can be done. But we also know that we must work very close with the regulators, making sure that we take projects from not just prospects, but putting them in production. The integrating Newfoundland and Labrador into the global supply network. For the first time, I'll be in Houston this weekend to the oil and gas show, because it's important that we get in front of those businesses, that we instill the confidence that Newfoundland and Labrador is a great place to invest. Just speak to education as an example, and mental health and addictions, as I just said. These are all very key areas, but we've done it in partnership with our communities and with people like you in this room. So today, I am pleased to also say that we have updated the Way Forward, which is a website that includes the progress that we've made. Take a look at it. We did take a brief look at it this morning, and there's a tremendous amount of work that has been done already. So the website is the Way Forward at gov.nl. Take a look at it, and you can see for yourself the progress that we are making on the actions that we began in 2016. So this website will give you an idea of the kind of detail, the depth, the breadth of the things that we've been doing in what is creating what will be a strong and diversified province with a great standard of living. I think one thing that is not widely known already, that we generate more money, more revenue per capita. Us in Alberta, it's Newfoundland and Alberta, that we are 1 and 2. So there's quite a bit going on in our province, and I think we always need to remind ourselves, given the challenges that we're currently facing, there are still a lot of great things going on in our province. So today, it'll be about Phase 3 of the Way Forward, as I just mentioned, and this is about building for our future. We've seen this in our budget this year, so once again, this is really about the seamless progress that we're making as we invest in Newfoundland and Labrador. So this is building for our future, Phase 3. Every phase that we've announced so far, all of it is really about 4 pillars, making sure we put a strong economic foundation in place, a more efficient public sector, better services, and better outcomes. A few examples today of what you can expect in the coming year will be strengthening our economy. We have identified, once again, now the mining and the forestry sector and the community sector as areas for us to focus on in 2018. And each of these sectors, they employ thousands of residents, and each of them has a unique potential to generate economic benefits and create new jobs and successes for people in our communities. We will also continue to work closely with our industry players, such as we did with the agriculture, the aquaculture, and the tech sector that I've just mentioned. But in 2018 and 2019, we will also be working with the arts and cultural community to establish a new cultural plan. If you look at the data, the last one is essentially 10 years old now, so we feel that this needs to be updated. So we will also launch an Arts Exhilarated program, and this will be in consultation with the thousands of artists that we have in our province and help them enhance the management, the promotion, and the development of their own artistic practices. And outside of developing these specific type industries, we're also pursuing the Diversity in Leadership initiative this year. So what is this all about, you say? Our goal is to increase the number of women in leadership positions in our province. This will involve engaging women leaders throughout Newfoundland and Labrador in areas of business, academia, trades, technology, politics, the community sector, to discuss ways to address the barriers that you find to gender diversity in leadership. It's just as a little stat on that, when you look at our province right now, women represent 49% of our labor force. But the fact is only 38% of them hold key management positions. So I'm glad that this is not the case, I will say, within the provincial government, where we see a 50-50 split in our deputy ministers and some of the most senior significant positions that we have in our government. So we are 50-50%, 50-50, but we know that in the business community right now, we're not seeing the same numbers. So as I mentioned, there are 4 pillars, and what you'll see in 2018 as we look to achieving better outcomes in this phase, you will see further recommendations and implementations of the recommendations that came from the Premier's Task Force on Educational Outcomes, further work that will be done on towards recovery. You will see more primary health teams within our province, and in June of this year, you will see the next Indigenous Leaders Roundtable. We're the only province that would have Indigenous roundtables in our province. Tomorrow, we will also announce a new initiative we'll be doing with Minister Dempster, just change her name, and that's to provide greater support to community-serving organizations. And I know there's people in this room that are very interested in being part of all of that. With healthcare, as a new initiative in 2018, you will also see an improved client care for those families that have to deal with dementia, either through your family members, but we know that dementia is a growing concern for our population. We also know that if we do a better job in community-based care, it reduces emergency department visitations, it reduces hospitalizations, as well as people that end up in long-term care prematurely. We know that people and families that have to deal with this would prefer to deal with this in the communities where they live. In phase 3, when we talk about greater efficiency, it's really one option that we have available to us is on tapping the value that we have within a provincial-owned assets. As a provincial government and core provincial government, we own about $4.3 billion in assets. So clearly, how we manage, how we maintain, and the opportunities to divest of some of these assets can actually have an impact on our fiscal goals, but it can also have an impact on how we provide services within our province. So the idea here is to maximize the value of these assets for our residents. And today, as part of the way forward, I'm issuing a challenge to all my cabinet colleagues and their staff to provide ways to us through their own departments of how we can better use those assets, how we advance the opportunities, and how these assets can be divested or repurposed in some case to ensure the best economic, social, and financial return for the residents who actually own them. In some cases, it could mean that we would sell an asset. It could be repurposing of an asset. It could be actually bringing some of the assets from outside of government inside of core government. So the challenge is now gone to our deputy ministers and to our to my cabinet colleagues to take a real broad-based approach and look inside your departments, be creative with the proposals as they advance. And so these proposals will be ongoing in 2018 and 2019. With, as I said, $4.3 billion in assets maintained by government, I feel that there is value that can be derived from repurposing or changing the way we look at those assets, money that can be better spent on other services for our province. When you start this process, I think something that will be obvious to us is that you must put in place an asset management framework as we continue, not just for 2018 and 2019, but well into the future as we derive the value that we have in the over $4 billion in assets that we have in our province. So today, having discussed some of the actions to strengthen the economy, to enhance efficiencies, and to improve outcomes, I'll finish up my remarks by highlighting an initiative that will dramatically enhance the way people receive service from our government. Today, our government reveals its plan to make government services, we call it digital by design, and specifically Minister Osborne will provide details of the future state, the digital platform which all connections with government, making sure that they're integrated, allowing citizens, no matter where they live, to access services, access information, and transactions when and how they want them. And I can think of no better place to be than amongst this tech-savvy group that we have right here in front of us. People in this room will get a chance to see this firsthand today, and I really look forward to your feedback. With digital by design approach to service delivery, we will exceed the expectations of residents with the speed and the ease of service delivery. but it will also deliver services in a cost-effective manner that not only improves government efficiency, but also maintains data security for everyone. This is something that's extremely important and on the minds of everyone, no matter where you go these days. Privacy protection, access to information is critical in making sure that this is successful. As part of getting ready for today's event is one of the things over 5 years you will see this government go from where we are, from some 65 platforms, some 65 websites down to 5. So that speaks to the efficiency and how consumers would actually access this service. So I'm eager, like you are, to see what Minister Osborne will present. I'm going to conclude on this final point. The way forward and the vision that we outlined for the growth and sustainability of Newfoundland and Labrador could not be possible without the support of my cabinet colleagues, without the support of our MHAs, who see MHAs that really bring the concerns that they get from our constituents as they bring them back and look forward to and challenge us to put in place responsive actions. And we do this in a very open and a very transparent way. It would not be possible without the dedicated work of so many talented people that we have working in our public service. People who have responded to the challenges that we have faced, and you've done it in a very humane and a very respectful way. It would not be possible without our partners in industry, within culture, and community, whose ongoing feedback and individual contributions touch all residents, and they are vital to making our province globally competitive and a welcoming place to live. So together, we have committed to a vision for the future of our province. Together, we will achieve a strong, diversified province with a very high standard of living. And as I look at our young people today, I want you to know what we're doing here today is really about you. And I don't mean that just in terms of government trying to create the right conditions so that Newfoundland and Labrador remains a place that you want to stay. But I'm also inviting you to become active participants in making this place stronger than ever. So together we will realize a shared vision for the place, for our province that we all love so much. And for the current and future generations, we will do what is needed, building for our future. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I now pass it back to Minister Osborne. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Premier. I'm delighted to be part of this announcement today. As I said earlier, the Premier has brought us through the darkest of days a couple of years ago, and as the plan starts to unfold, we can certainly see that it's working, and it's the Premier has been the driving force behind the way forward. As Minister responsible for OCIO, I am very excited with today's announcement to give you a look at the future of service delivery in Newfoundland and Labrador. Government, like all organizations, faces increased service delivery expectations from both citizens and the business community. The traditional methods of service delivery are becoming outdated and in some cases are unresponsive to the people they serve. Our government is committed to improving the accessibility of government programs and services. Today, we are announcing our 5-year plan to enhance government services by making them digital by design. With this plan, we will combine all interactions an individual has with government together in one place. The plan is made up of 6 initiatives, which when taken together, will completely transform how you access services within government, starting this year and over the next 5 years. These include a redesign of the GovNL website, a single government-wide digital ID for individuals to use with every department and many of our agencies. My GovNL profile, which will consolidate all information that an individual shares with government into one single record. That can be accessed by departments, by agencies, with the individual's permission when accessing services. The GovNL dashboard a secure self-service area where you can manage all of your interactions with government, such as renewing licenses, tracking applications, or choosing your notification settings. New alerts and notification functions, allowing us to update residents on matters that are important to them. These can be completely personalized by each individual who uses the system. Smart applications which organize an individual's information in a way that allows them to apply for multiple services at once by combining applications. So to get a better sense of how this will all look when it's complete, we've put together videos that show how business and citizens will avail of these new systems. So we'll show the video now. It's only about 2.5 minutes.
The following video is a demo. It shows the intended end state of government's 5-year digital government plan. It will demonstrate how services will be enhanced for citizens and businesses. Any data featured in this video is strictly for illustrative purposes. This system will be fully realized by 2023. The provincial government is committed to improving the accessibility to government programs and services through its 5-year digital government plan. Once in place, government's online portals will combine all interactions an individual has with government together in one central location. To see how this will make doing business with government much easier, imagine you are looking to start a business in Newfoundland and Labrador. When you log into the system, it will gather your information from across all government departments and agencies. You begin the application process by entering the type of business you are looking to open. The system will proactively tell you that to open a bed and breakfast, you need to fill out a business application and a tourism application. It will also tell you the cost of each and keep a tally on the screen for you. Most importantly, it will bundle these two applications together for your convenience. Using the data already collected, the system tells you what we already know about you and what we need to know in order to continue. On the next few screens, we will ask you questions to fill out the remainder of the forms. As many government forms feature the same questions, we will use as few questions as possible to fill out all forms at once. Along the way, the system will alert you to any new licenses or forms you may need based on your answers, such as rezoning licenses with your municipality. In the end, the system will bundle all your payments into one, where normally you would need to make multiple separate payments. With this system, a process that would have previously required you to interact with multiple departments and agencies and fill out multiple forms will be completed in one simple transaction in 5 or 10 minutes. Imagine you have logged into the government portal to complete a transaction. When you have completed your initial business, the system will alert you to any other services that may be coming up for renewal for you. The system will tell you that you are able to apply for a Moose Lottery based on the fact that you applied last year. It will also tell you that your MCP and driver's license are coming up for renewal. It will tell you the anticipated price, which can be paid through one bundle payment, and it can complete all 3 forms at once. When the digital government plan is complete, the MyGovNL dashboard will become your single point of access to know and manage all you do with government.
I know some of you have already had a chance to see the demos in greater depth from our team from OCIO who are here along the side of the room. I encourage anyone who hasn't gone through in depth to see the full demo walkthrough. Check in with the team afterwards. It's actually very impressive. As these videos showed, processes that today would require you to interact with multiple departments and fill out multiple forms can now be completed in one central location. The first phase of this project will occur between 2018 and 2020, with all aspects in place by 2022-23. Having better online platforms will ensure that services are available in a more timely manner and in a way that you want services delivered. We look forward to bringing this vision to a reality in the coming years for the people of Newfoundland and Labrador. And with that, I would like to invite Kendra MacDonald from NADI to deliver a few remarks.
afternoon, and thank you to Premier Ball and to Minister Osborne for the opportunity to be here today on a beautiful sunny day surrounded by a great crowd and lots of technology, so it's all good. My name's Kendra McDonald, and I'm currently the chair and the acting CEO of the Newfoundland and Labrador Association of Technology Industries. Through the way forward, and through Budget 2018, it is clear that government is increasingly embracing technology as they explore new ways to do things. As a leader in the technology industry and as a resident of this province, it's encouraging to see our government look at digitizing and modernization of service delivery as a way to not just save money, but also as a way to better serve people. We are in an era of increasing digitization of many industries and organizations and governments at all levels throughout Canada and the world are taking advantage of the opportunities to digitize delivery of services, to reduce costs, improve efficiency, but most importantly, to improve outcomes and satisfaction of citizens. This is not just about improving our online experience. It is truly about transforming the way we interact with government in the future. Through consultation, government asked for input on how best to leverage technology in service delivery. This was an important step and certainly an opportunity welcomed by our industry to better tailor the service delivery that is being envisioned to the needs of residents of Newfoundland and Labrador. Today, this launch of Digital by Design plan sets the stage and a plan of action for us right here in the province. We can see firsthand with the video what transformation will look like in the years to come, turning multiple transactions, form submissions, and interactions into one, with an approach that will make it easier and faster to do business with government. Both the Business Innovation Agenda and the recent Tech Sector Work Plan emphasize the importance of government as a buyer of local, innovative technology solutions to the growth of the sector. Our province's technology sector is made up of some of the brightest and best in the industry, and our technology companies are looking forward to the opportunity to collaborate and work with government to make Digital by Design a reality and an easy transition for everyone. With more than 170 tech companies in the province, we look forward to participating in vendor sessions, knowing our local tech companies are well equipped to support the rollout and execution of government's plan. Now, more than ever, technology transcends everything that we do. As a leader in the technology industry, I am excited about this incredible opportunity to contribute to the growth objectives of the tech sector. As a resident, I am excited at the opportunities to increase both the efficiency and effectiveness of my government interactions in the future. Congratulations to the province on the launch of such an important program. Thank you.